Good evening. This is Maestro Cortello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a 3v3 with a bunch of good players. First we have Lindonin, or Lindonin, I prefer to say Lindonin, as this Eldar Farseer, a support hero who you haven't seen a lot much these days. She mostly buffs and debuffs other Eldar units. We also have Adila as the Imperial Guard Commissar Lord. Having trouble getting a good view, but he's this slightly tanky melee hero with a free energy shield, 2.5 damage to energy ratio. He can also execute his own troops to make them fight harder. We have Boris T. Rat, can't see the characters in his name, as this Orc Warboss, a very big Orc, extremely good hero in my opinion. We also have, on the red team now, Phantom Land, as this Grey Knight Bro Captain, a silver Grey Knight Bro Captain, a very tanky hero, kind of like the Chaos Lord in that he cannot be suppressed or knocked down, and he's also like the Force Commander in that he has some area of effect buffs for his units. Here we have Indrid as the Plague Champion, the Dawn of War Replays Net Caster. Plague Champion starts off as a ranged hero, kind of like the Tech Marine, can support vehicles, build turrets, can also heal like the Apothecary. Right now he's getting hit by the Commissar Lord. Can also become a tanky melee hero with upgrades. Finally, we have Dark Riku as this Apothecary, the Space Marine Apothecary, who's kind of just sitting around here capping a point while all the other units around are fighting. The Apothecary is a healing hero, not a very good fighter, but he is a very good healer. Alright, Warboss gets forced off, actually gets forced off by Heretics. Certainly support here. We actually saw a heal by Dark Riku on Indrid's Chaos Space Marine. So we have some team play here. You can heal allied units with the Apothecary's heal. The Sentinel has been upgraded to the ground pound and does stomp Indrid's Heretics. Excuse me, they do run out of there. 5 models left, even with only 73 hit points. And it looks like Blue started out with the VP lead, but the red team is going to get the double cap with Dark Riku scouts down here. Engagement's going to happen in the middle. Commissar Lord getting shot by these ranged units. The Apothecary, not the Apothecary, the Plague Champion, the Tax, and the Chaos Space Marines, as well as this Apothecary right here. Actually upgraded to the Mastercrafted Bolter. Going to turn the Apothecary into a ranged hero. Pretty good for having the Apothecary fill his support role. Have him sit behind cover as he just kind of takes shots. Makes him do pretty good damage, makes him worth about 2 tack models in terms of damage and durability. Speaking of tax getting healed by the Apothecary's passive healing aura, actually charging ahead, trying to force melee, and actually forcing off most of the range units. It actually looked like most players were in the middle because there were Shudas, Imperial Guardsmen, as well as Dire Avengers in that middle lane. So a little bit of a lull in the action, but I think red kind of comes out on top of it. They do have that double cap. And they are actually pushing into the blue power farm with Dark Riku going for double tactical marines. You generally don't see double tactical marines. It is kind of a slight alteration of the typical scout build, but I think you don't see it as often. In part because it's a very expensive start. Costs a lot of rec to put 2 tacs on the field at the start, and you're usually not going to be able to spend money on generators. It doesn't matter as much in team games since you can have your teammates spend money on generators, especially if you have Orcs or Eldar or Tyranids as teammates. It's a little easier to afford having them put generators on the field. The Plague Champion right here from Indrid has been upgraded to a Mucus Discharge, so he's actually doing some heal support in addition to the Apothecary. We even have some worship right here from Heretics that do not have the Aspiring Champion, but they are upgraded to it. And Indrid also has a Havoc on the field, covering his Heretics from behind. Down at the bottom, it looks like Sluggers from Boris do manage to take this middle victory point, and most of the fighting really is taking place in the middle. Indrid does put Eternal War on his Chaos Space Marines, giving them a 20% damage buff. We actually kind of have dueling, actually more than dueling. We have a suppression team war, this Havoc against the heavy weapons teams from the Imperial Guardsmen, as well as the now double Guardian weapon teams from Lindonin. And this Guardian weapon team, one of the Guardian weapon teams, is actually taking a lot of damage, loses a model, and is down to about a third of its health. So suppression war is happening. Attacks getting suppressed right here. Heavy weapon team right here. The Havocs generally have the edge in suppression since they suppress immediately, but especially the Shurikens will have the edge in damage. Suppressing the Havocs did allow the Sentinel to get in there and actually stomp that Havoc, but the Sentinel in a little bit of trouble right now, especially if this Havoc resets up. The Sentinel is getting chased down by Tactical Marines that did activate Kraken Bolts, and ultimately the Plague Champion and the Chaos Space Marines do get trapped by that suppression. Blue team did win the suppression wars, so they kind of take the advantage right there. And this Guardian Weapon team setting up in front of the civilian structure that these, I think it's Tax that are inside the building. Tax? Yes, Tax inside the building. Could not see it from that angle. One of the Tax gets gibbed inside the building. Now these Tax have to get out of the building with Howling Banshees right there. Probably going to take, yep. I was going to say probably is going to take at least one model, but the Tax don't lose any additional models. Blue team, Boris now getting a Gen Bash off right here. So Boris has an interesting build. Nothing too amazing, but he does have double Shooter Boys as well as double Slugger Boys. Sentinel does get a stomp off here. Excuse me, had a mild interruption, but we are back right here. Blue team does get the decap off on this power node. And Boris is actually charging in, but now he might even lose his Warboss. Gets hit by full auto, and the Warboss gets pinned there while taking a ton of ranged fire. And the Havocs right here suppressed by something, probably by aiming what's that, and now getting chased down by Slugger Boys, losing some models. We now have Raptors out for Indrid, and starting to have tier 2 purchases from multiple players. Adila getting these Stormtroopers, Lindonin getting these Dark Reapers, kind of a no-brainer against all of this power armor from Team Power Armor, the Chaos Space Marines, and the Grey Knights. That is Team Power Armor, all 3 Power Armor races. A Rhino out now from Phantomland, upgraded to the Heavy Bolter. Will do 55 DPS piercing, so that's the kind of the AV upgrade for the Rhino. Meanwhile, Farseer over here actually pushed all the way in, has the Spirit Stones. Lindonin building double Dark Reapers now, which is definitely going to put the hurt on all of these Power Armor units. Raptors in here trying to Gen Bash, but now going to start taking missile shots from the Sentinel. That Sentinel missile launcher is basically like a grenade launcher, and those Raptors in a lot of trouble with taking Sentinel missile launchers, taking Sentinel missile shots, as well as Dark Reaper shots. And now stick bombs from the stick bombs. A Razorback, so 2 assault transports out from Team Power Armor. We have Phantomland's Razorback, as well as Phantomland's Rhino, as well as Dark Riku's Razorback. We must arm for even cooler warfare. Havocs are in the building, but this Sentinel missile launcher does actually function as anti-garrison. The frag missiles do grenade launcher damage, and that is an that is an anti-garrison damage type. So the Havocs get out of there with 1 model, but they are going to be actually reinforcing from the Razorback. Prepare to lead your sisters. An ally has gained control of a victory point. Victory points. Blue actually lost their natural, so they lost that natural victory point.
It is time to add to our war panoply. Beware the Banshees howl.
Ooh, Sluggers right here. Dark Riku might throw a grenade. Probably get a few models off those Sluggers, boys. And Dark Riku throws a grenade, but the Sluggers don't run down that. They don't run down that alley. The Plague Champion right here does, I think, heal himself for something. Indrid now amassing quite a bit of an army. Does have a Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. Will be very effective against anything, but especially against heavy infantry armor. There is no heavy infantry armor on the blue team, but they are still very effective against anything. Stun grenades go off from the stick bombers, ultimately hitting nothing. And this Warboss, again, in a little bit of trouble, getting pinned by that Mastercrafted Bolter. That is one of the things that is so good about the Mastercrafted Bolter. Will pin melee heroes, allows you to control them and then do a ton of damage while they do nothing. Boris calls out too because both Indrid and Dark Riku are down in this bottom lane, and they are going to get the full power bash off, along with Indrid getting the decap. Meanwhile, we do have this Sentinel right here. A Sentinel now upgraded with crack missiles will kill that Grey Knight Rhino. I think he's got to turn around. Wow. He completely had an opportunity to take out that Grey Knight Rhino. I thought that was going to be a dead Rhino, but it's not. So that Rhino actually gets out of there alive. Phantom Land did lose some kind of unit. I think he must have lost the Strike Squad. Double Dark Rikus, though, are going to be so devastating against the power armor units. And look at how much red has pushed up in here. Stormtrooper squad from Adila just goes down. And Boris just getting really hit really hard by this double team. He is forcing off these Raptors that are going up a little too far into Boris's base. They're actually getting up to the point where they're right in front of Boris's base. Being really harsh about this. And Boris is just constantly getting pushed back into his base.
It shall be done.
Looks like the blue team, Lindonin, does get off a full counter bash at this higher up natural power farm, along with the decap. So, opposing power bashes, both teams get off a full power bash, but Riku looks like he's also getting a power bash off up here. So I think the red team is definitely taking the edge in power bash. In fact, the blue team, they lost a lot of power just then. Do have a new full power farm up here. Some webway gates are going down for Linden. And there goes Riku's Razorback. Probably did not have extra armor on that Razorback, so it ran into the field of fire of this Guardian weapon team and probably just took way too much damage before it could get out. The Bright Lance does higher DPS than many of the other AV setup teams, but it does not snare. In the Elite mod, it also does have an ability that will increase its damage for a short time. 2 cap now in favor of the red team, but it looks like Boris right here is going to get this decap off on this point. Oh my gosh. And stormtroopers from Phantom Land do not have a chance. I think yeah. I kind of missed it, but I'm guessing most of these units must have still been infiltrated. Yeah, that's probably what happened. They were infiltrated from the webway gates of the Farseer. And then Phantom Land's Inquisitorial Stormtroopers just got ambushed and took way too much damage. Might even lose his Bro Captain. And does in fact lose the Bro Captain. My god. Huge wins for Lindonin. Phantom Land suffering terribly. Needs to buy new Stormtroopers so that he can even repair his Rhino and make it worthwhile on the field. Phantom Land is in tier 3 though, so he can't afford to, he even has the resources to start putting down Terminators or Paladins, but it looks like he might be trying to save up for a Land Raider Crusader. And we have lots of infantry blobbing, quite blobbed up infantry from both Indrid and Dark Riku. Dark Riku now with a fully kitted out of the Apothecary, Mastercrafted Bolter, Armor of Purity, and the improved medical equipment. This is mostly a heal spam build. Basically just going to be spamming heals because he'll have enough energy to constantly use the heals, and he'll have a shorter cooldown on the heals because of the Armor of Purity. We'll also still have enough energy to use the Mastercrafted Bolter, pin down those melee heroes, especially the Warboss, and then screw them over with all this massive ranged fire. Chaos Raptors, by the way, have been upgraded to the Demon Wall, so all players, except for Lindonin, in Tier 3, but Lindonin is getting into Tier 3. So we're going to start seeing some Tier 3 plays. Indrid already has that Demon Wall up on his Chaos Raptors. Boris, on the other hand, does have this looted tank.
New units are now available to us. We are losing a victory objective. Let the flame of Asurian bless our Farseer in battle.
Oh, alright, so we have some new war gear upgrades. That Farseer does have the Spirit Zones, is allowing here to heal her units, especially the Banshees, and now she's upgrading to the Armor of the Asurian. Will grant her the Time Field ability, which kind of slows down units in an area, also prevents them from using abilities. Warboss right here upgrades to the Gangbang Hammer. Just a 75 DPS weapon, or at least that's what it says in the old tooltip. Right now, just does regular melee damage instead of power melee. Also has the boss ball, and I think this is the Land Raider Crusader drop from Phantom Land, right in the middle of a huge blob. I don't know if that's the best choice. The Land Raider Crusader is certainly a very good unit, very good at suppressing, but his Land Raider Crusader is already taking a lot of damage. Does do the frag assault, knocks over a huge infantry blob. But I feel like he needs to get his support up here quickly. Indrid and Dark Riku are up here. They will be coming into support, but I feel like a lot of their units are already low on health, and that Land Raider Crusader already at less than half health. Meanwhile, the Las Cannon from Adila is doing a ton of damage, and even this looted tank from Boris T-Rat is doing very well as well. And a second looted tank on the field, but not out quite yet. The red team somehow does manage to come out on top of that engagement. Boris is down here. He does wipe the red team's bottom power farm, and he will get a cap off on their bottom victory point. So it's going to be a 2-cap back in favor of the blue team once they start capping. So right now the blue team is winning quite significantly on fighting. They have much bigger armies. Boris with these double looted tanks, getting a reinforced plating on both of them so that they'll be just a little bit tougher. All the players on the red team are running fairly short on units. Phantom Lands definitely suffered a few losses. Came kind of a close call with that Land Raider Crusader. Went a little risky with it, dropping it right in the middle of the enemy forces and then expecting the support to come up behind him. And the support did come, but it was also stuck in a time field, and that support wasn't quite at full health. Dark Riku now has a Land Raider of his own, and I'm a little unsure about these Land Raider choices. I feel like the Land Raiders have been... I think one of the problems right now is that Land Raiders, as good as they are and as powerful as they are, generally do not really function as AV. They do have that multi-melta on top, but I don't think it's that powerful, and the range is probably kind of short. So one of the ways you counter Land Raiders, especially the Land Raider Redeemer and the Land Raider Crusader, is with AV. Right now we have the Fist of Brachus up on the Commissar Lord. Also does Emperor's Wrath with that war gear. That Fist of Brachus will prevent any units in the range of the Commissar Lord. Any of the ones that you see these yellow circles around will prevent them from dying. The Commissar Lord himself is in a ton of trouble right now. Commissar Lord is fully upgraded with the Fist of Brachus, a Power Fist, very expensive one, gives that None Shall Fall ability that will prevent his infantry from dying. Also has the Flak Jacket, will allow him to execute enemy troops in addition to his own, and then he does have the Emperor's Wrath, which does give him an off-map artillery ability. Very powerful, can be fairly easily dodged, although not by the Land Raider Crusader or the Land Raider Redeemer. So I think these Land Raiders are actually doing pretty well, and I think part of the reason that is so is just that it's with 2 Land Raiders, it is actually just too much for the blue team to deal with. They need more AV pretty much. The tanks will do AV, these looted tanks, but the looted tanks are generally more like anti-infantry tanks. They certainly can do AV. The main cannon does do AV, but the looted tanks, they're not as powerful as AV as Predators or even Lehman Russes. They're more like anti-infantry tanks, especially with that anti-infantry ability. The big shot. We do have Terminators now from 2 players on the red team. Indrid gets Chaos Terminators, already upgrading to the autocannon, going to be doing good damage to all targets, all infantry types, as well as vehicles. Terminators now, also from Dark Riku, does have the Cyclone Missile Launcher. Oh, and Emperor's Wrath goes down, but now we have a shrine from Indrid. Needs to worship that shrine. He is worshiping that shrine. Will heal and also reinforce units, but the blue team is definitely pushing. Looted Tank is in a little bit of trouble, and look at all these units that are getting demoralized by Chaos Terminator kills. There's Chaos Terminators right here. Chaos Terminators demoralize enemies when they kill instead of inspiring friendly troops, and I think Guardian Weapon Team, these Shuriken Cannon, this Bright Lance team shot, taking a lot of shots off, actually. And a lot of vehicles from the red team do now have a Grey Knight Dreadnought unnecessarily taking Bright Lance shots. It needs to stop, it needs to move. And Phantom Land, although has a lot of presence right here, does need to heal his stuff. And it looks like, it really looks like everybody is fighting up here. That Cyclone Missile Launcher on the Terminators actually does pretty good damage to this Looted Tank here, especially in combination with the Tactical Marines. And now a Baneblade from Adila. Adila has kind of been on the losing end of his units, lost a lot of units, while his teammates have really been preserving their units, except for the fact that Lindonin's Farseer is dead on the ground right here, and he's not going to get a revive right there. Lindonin does start an Avatar, though. And although most of the fighting has gone up here, there's definitely been capping down here. Indrid now with his Chaos Raptors. His Raptors need to actually turn and fight the shooters, because if they just fight the shooters, they will actually win. Demolisher Cannon shot. Wow, the Demolisher Cannon pretty much demolishes the Tactical Marines, wipes all but one model. Luckily, the Tactical Marines retreat right to this Land Raider that's right here and start reinforcing. And we have a ton of different reinforcement points. It almost seems like an overkill on reinforcement points between two Land Raiders and a Nurgle Shrine. I think this Grey Knight Dreadnought with the Plasma Cannon will go down, though, taking shots from this heavy weapon team. We have crazy battles going on down here, and then that Warboss goes down from Boris T. Rat. Wow, look at that singularity. What a singularity. And that's what the red team kind of gets for blobbing up so much. I guess they do have the advantage, though, of playing as a power armor race. But look how quickly they just regenerated and reinforced everything. Wow. Less than 200 VPs for the blue team, 193 to 234. Blue team taking this bottom area. Adila moving his guardsmen down here. A duel between the Commissar Lord and then a strike squad. A lot of minor skirmishes going on down here. Some backcapping attempts by maybe the Howling Banshees coming through that webway gate, and the Bro Captain just standing here while all the main fighting goes on down here with these double Land Raiders. The Redeemer right here. A las cannon turret. You hardly ever see that, but it is very powerful AV, taking shots at this Avatar. And now the Avatar goes for a Wailing Doom. Definitely going to destroy that shrine. Does a lot of damage to that Chaos Heretic squad as well. The Bro Captain up here. The Bro Captain trying to defend, but is ultimately going to go down from that mass of Eldar forces. Dire Avenger, mostly Dark Reapers as well as Banshees. And it looks like Boris T. Rat lost one of his looted tanks. Does have a Knob Squad out right now, but has not yet made it out to the field. This must be a repair bunker, repairing the Baneblade and this looted tank. Big shotgun going there, hitting those Terminators. Terminators starting to get low on health, lose a model, down to 2 models, going to get down to 1 model. Riku does heal, and they actually start, wow, Terminators getting really close to dying. And I think Riku just barely saves his Terminators by putting them inside the Land Raider. We did have a Frag Assault right there. And here is a Rocket Run. And where's that Eldritch Storm? Eldritch Storm on top of it, too. That's terrible for Dark Riku. And that is going to be a dead Land Raider Redeemer, I think. Going to take a shot from this Baneblade. And there goes that Land Raider Redeemer. Crusader still out on the field, but needs repairs. Inquisitorial Stormtroopers not doing their job, slacking off, not repairing. And unfortunately, it looks like the red team's massive staying power that they had in here from the Nurgle Shrine, the Land Raider Redeemers, has kind of been broken by this Baneblade, as well as by the nukes that the blue team must have stored up from all of that. And it looked like we have a fight going on back here. Fully upgraded Guardsman Squad getting force meleeed by the Strike Squad. The Strike Squad will definitely win that fight, but we have another webway gate going up. Lindonin being extremely annoying with those webway gates, and red team actually kind of pulls out of there. Manscore now from Adila. Good choice. Certainly with these massive blobs. Manscore is great in general and is especially good in teams. Grey Knight Dreadnought. The Grey Knight Dreadnought activates its Mealstorm ability. Whoa! I wonder, did that do as much damage as I thought it did? Wow, this is going to be a dead Land Raider Crusader. So I think what happened there, I'm not sure if that worked out the way I thought it did, but this is, let's see, this Land Raider Crusader should be dead. Definitely going to take, yeah, and it's dead. So I think what happened there, Land Raider Crusader was right there in that path. The Avatar started doing Wailing Doom, and then Adila dropped mines and detonated all the mines. And I think those mines may have actually detonated and done a lot of damage to that Land Raider Crusader. And Phantom Land just says like, oh, you got my Land Raider Crusader? Here's another one. He just straight up puts another Land Raider Crusader on the field. Another Wailing Doom, combined with a time field to prevent those Terminators from teleporting out of there. This Grey Knight Dreadnought is going to be dead, taking Bright Lance shots as well as D-Cannon shots. And something teleports in there. The Bro Captain teleports in there. Way overextend. Teleports into double Dark Reapers, just taking way too much damage. Down here. Ooh, we have some healing action from Indrid. Does a shot going down from somewhere. Wow, look at the range on that shot. I didn't know that the looted tank had that much range. Look at that range from all the way over here.
Let the 99th sword be honed and made ready for war. There is no glory in pointless defeat. The foe sets our holdings.
Alright, looks like the blue team is now pushing up against the red team. And look at, I mean, the red team is definitely struggling on units now, with only all the players except for Riku only having 3 units. Riku himself only has 4, and when I say units, I actually exclude the commanders. And I'm not sure why I do that, but I just kind of have gotten into the habit of doing it. Very minor skirmishes down here. The Warboss looks like he will get forced off, fully upgraded now with heavy armor and the trophy rack. And that Land Raider Crusader actually getting hit massively will actually probably go down. Just taking way too much damage, taking Bright Lance shots, took Manticore shots. Oh my god, the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers take hits from the D-Cannon and lose a bunch of models. And we need repairs on that Land Raider Crusader. This looted tank right here on the blue team is kind of acting as a deterrent on that cap, but the blue team does not actually have this VP. Heavy bolter turret, another turret. Indrid's probably going to make one a heavy bolter and one a las cannon. Frag assault from the Land Raider Crusader does get most of these units off of them, but the blue team is really closing in. Bright Lance actually setting up right here. Manticore shot's probably gonna knock over some scouts, as well as doing damage to Terminators. The Bright Lance does get set up, starts taking shots at the Land Raider Crusader, but that Bright Lance might even die. Bright Lance dies. We do have an orbital bombardment now from, could be Phantom, probably Phantom Land, since Dark Riku still has about 400 something red. And not a great orbital bombardment, but mines go off now. Mines also get revealed. And Terminators, I think, are forced meleeing now with this Baneblade. Terminators actually do very good damage in melee. Even ranged Terminators do very good damage in melee. They do about 100 DPS heavy melee as a squad. So that makes them actually certainly do a lot of damage, although they don't have a melee charge. Indrid did have turrets up right here, but they did get killed by these knobs from Boris T. Rat. And Boris definitely winning down here. Now with these double tanks, obviously with that huge range on the big shot. Tactical Marines almost go down for Dark Riku. Dark Riku definitely hurting a lot on units right now. Almost lost to Tactical Marines. Only has this Librarian and also this Scout Squad as well. Which is Scout Squad is actually even staying up by Phantom Land's Land Raider Crusader. The only the only repair support now for that Land Raider Crusader, but I think that Land Raider Crusader is done with this Baneblade chasing it down. It's low on health. It's stuck in a time field, and that Commissar could just run in and finish it off, or help it out at least. But there goes the second Land Raider Crusader down, and Adila's Commissar Lord levels to 8. Look at that Farseer now with the Doombringer, a late game Doomblade to bring the Farseer at level 9. Boris T. Rat surprisingly only at level 5. Bro Captain at level 2, wow. Indrid's Plague Champion at level 7, tried to get a cap. I guess one of the things that's good about these looted tanks in teams is how much victory point denial you get out of that big shot ability. Did not deny the Plague Champion from capping at that point, but the Plague Champion is very low on health, may risk dying. He's getting knocked over by stick bombs when he's already very low on health and does in fact get wiped. And it's now a triple cap for the blue team, and the blue team is dominating massively on their unit count. Grey Knight Dreadnought, I think, is helpless right here, taking las cannon shots, Baneblade shots, getting hit by the Emperor's Wrath, and that's definitely going to be a dead Grey Knight Dreadnought, especially now with this Avatar. I mean, the Dreadnought's already dead. Warboss charging in here. Boris is now actually doing a very good job of denying this VP, especially now that it is now white and it's not capped in favor of either team. With the blue team already having that double cap, Boris just needs to deny this cap. He doesn't even need to keep it up. He doesn't even need to necessarily recap it. He does have to worry, though, about his looted tanks taking fire from that autocannon Terminator squad. And this looted tank needs repairs or will die. Terminator's now in a lot of trouble, though. So Terminators, I think, were Indrid's real asset right here. But he's down to 1 model, cannot afford to lose that Terminator squad. But blue team, after red had pushed up so much in here, it looks like the blue team is going to win this game. Lindonin's calling a GG. Blue's pushed all the way up in here. Boris is going to get the cap down here with his knobs while these new commandos run up. And the map is almost entirely The map is almost entirely in favor of the blue team. With double Manticores, new Warp Spiders out. This is definitely a game, and I mean, Boris is actually just kind of pushing up in here, aggressively denying Indrid and Riku from, and even Phantom Land now, even from getting down to this bottom, but that is the end of the game.
We have prevailed.
I hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.